Hi everyone, my name is Esme.
And I'm Gabby.
We've been studying Alexander Twilight thoroughly for a couple of years. Our interest in Twilight was sparked by a history project we did in 6th grade. From that project, we've expanded to presenting on Twilight and even starting a blog about him. This presentation includes the research and information we've conducted over the course of our project. We're thrilled to be able to share this project with you, as this is the first year Twilight's birthday has been recognized by the public. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to help us celebrate Twilight. When we look at a photo, we usually make assumptions about how we think the person will behave or what their personality will be like. These assumptions are often incorrect. This is the only known photo of Alexander Twilight. By looking at this photo, what words would you use to describe him? When we first looked at Twilight, we expected him to take life very seriously. This assumption was in fact incorrect, and it was quite the opposite. For example, when Twilight was a teacher and he thought his classes were becoming too stressful for the students, he would bring out laughing gas. Now, we're not sure how much the parents of the students were supportive of this, but the students themselves loved him. We know this because of a quote one of them wrote. It's also interesting to note that his students in the quote described him as bronzed or swarthy. In this photo taken of him, he appears to be a white man. Now, despite his appearances, Alexander Twilight was actually an African-American man. We would like to highlight the importance of his light skin coloring because of the role it plays in his future career and lifetime.
But who could ever forget him? That pursy rotund form, the inevitable calico gown, the bronzed yet mirth-provoking face, the jest-loving propensity, the perennial fun, sometimes breaking out in the midst of the schoolroom, the abrupt, contagious but quiet laugh. This was a quote from one of Twilight's students from after he died. They described him as an overall happy and fun-loving man, which conflicts with his appearance in the previous picture. Alexander Lucius Twilight was born on September 23, 1795, in Corinth, Vermont. We know there is some discussion as to his birthplace. Some people believe it to be Bradford versus Corinth, but for this presentation, we're going to stick with Corinth. His parents, Ichabod and Mary Twilight, were both listed in the census records as African American, despite the fact that Mary was probably white and Ichabod was biracial. You can see census examples above. Ichabod and Mary most likely first met when Ichabod and his New Hampshire regiment were stationed in Mohawk Valley, New York, between the years 1782 and 83. We believe Ichabod and Mary then got married in Nantucket, Massachusetts, and had their first son, Aaron, in Plattsburgh, New York, then moved to Vermont, where they had their remaining 5 children. Alexander was third out of 6. Fast forward to when Alexander was 8, his father, Ichabod, disappeared, forcing Alexander to become an indentured servant to the neighboring farm to earn some money for the family. Due to poverty and the lack of opportunities in his town, he did not get the education he desired early on. He ended up being accepted into Middlebury College despite their policy that African Americans could not be admitted. Twilight became the first African American to graduate not only Middlebury, but any United States college. Later, he joined the state legislature to attempt to gain funding for his prestigious rural Vermont school, Orleans County Grammar School, later known as Brownington Academy. In doing this, he became the first African American to be elected into the state legislature. He chose to dedicate the rest of his life to giving the gift of education he had not been able to access as a young boy to children of the next generation. He died of a stroke in 1857. So this is just to give you more insight into where Twilight traveled. He was born in Corinth, Vermont, which also happens to be where Esme lives. Then he moved to Middlebury, where he attended college. After he got married to Mercy Merrill, he moved to Brownington. He moved to Canada due to conflicts with the church, but the school could not thrive without him, so they asked him to come back. So finally, he moved back to Brownington to reclaim his position in the school. He ended up spending the rest of his life there and died June 19, 1857.
To help paint a picture of what life was like in Twilight's time period, we'd like to talk a little bit about slavery and what it was like when Twilight's professional career took off. In 1777, Vermont passed a law supposedly abolishing slavery. However, this did not completely end racial tensions in Vermont, and it certainly didn't completely end slavery. The law stated that an African American woman could be kept in slavery until she turned 18. Men could be held until they were 21. This means that the law abolished adult slavery. Children could still be enslaved up until they reached these ages. However, even though adult slavery was illegal, people could still find their way around the law legally. Many slave owners found loopholes, such as claiming that the slave owed them money. The idea that at any moment you could be kidnapped from your home was scary. African Americans often tried to keep low profiles in hopes not to be noticed by any slave traders. There was hatred directed at African Americans everywhere, including in Canaan, New Hampshire, where an integrated school called Noyes Academy was ripped of its foundation and dragged blocks away by angry townspeople. Word gets around fast, and Alexander likely heard of this awful incident. He must have wondered if his community would be supportive of a Black man running a school.
To start off our experience with Twilight, we presented at Vermont History Day almost 3 years ago. Then we moved on to National History Day in Maryland. After this, we presented at various conferences. We've come very far in 3 years, and this research has changed us a lot. We have gotten very used to presenting and public speaking. Researching Twilight has helped us with our research skills and has shaped our understanding of history today.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to help us celebrate Twilight. We really appreciate all your support and encouragement. And we also encourage you to do your own research on Twilight because there's still a lot more information that we don't know about him and want to get out there. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at alexandertwilightgirls@gmail.com. Also, subscribe to our blog at www.alexandertwilightgirls.weebly.com. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you have an awesome day.